Good morning, everyone. Show part two.
Hello,
Ladies and
good
gentlemen,
morning.
Big Zebra. I'm making hand motions for some reason. I don't really know why, but I am.
hmm
You know. So, how's everyone doing this morning?
I am relatively good. I mentioned earlier I have a full pot of coffee and it's delicious. I also have a rich interior life.
You have a rich interior. I don't know if I can say that for myself.
Mhm.
John Hudson looks like he's beaming in. Wow. Are you underwater?
Um,
Are you underwater, John Hudson? You're all. Oh, maybe you're on like one of those UHF channels. Oh, hey, there you go. Look at
There you
you.
go.
Oh, you can hear my cat in the background, by the way. Biscuits
Look,
mucking
you have
around.
a is that a cowlick there, Mr. John Hudson? It looks like it's pointing straight up. Okay, there you go.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's for the look factor.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Very
Gonna
slick.
go down to Dreamland and have some Bloody Marys as soon as she gets here.
Good.
What
So
is Dreamland?
it's a bar, concert hall, uh,
Mm.
splash pad for the kids, playground, miniature golf.
Sounds like
Uh,
an entertainment center. That's what it sounds like.
they start serving drinks at 7 o'clock in the morning, so it's a fun place.
That's very
Wow.
elaborate. Do they have an arena where men battle in hand-to-hand combat for amusement?
yeah, we have hockey there in Austin.
Oh,
We do. We
Excellent.
got the Austin Stars.
very good.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Have you seen Austin's soccer team this year?
I haven't seen Austin's soccer team any year.
Oh, anyhow. Well, you might not have because they just came about last year.
Oh,
But
okay.
they're the first team to ever score 10 points between their two first games in U.S. Soccer
So
history.
what is the name of the Austin, Texas soccer team?
Wow. Damn, I can't even remember now. I'm a little slow.
That's
Austin
okay.
Football Club, AFC. That's a guess.
That's a guess.
I think it might be AFC.
Oh,
Hey, there you
how about that?
go.
I believe
Tobin,
that's
you're
what
awfully
it is.
quiet.
Uh, I'm just trying to stay in the flow of the conversation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't help when someone awkwardly points out that you're very quiet, and then you feel obligated to speak.
Tobin calls the shots. That's what Tobin does.
Yeah.
Strategic and tactical. Tactical strikes, rhetorically speaking. Speaking of tactical strikes, I've been diving a bit more deeper into the whole Ukraine-Russia thing, the war. And it turns out that the Ukrainians targeted then you guys probably might, or you all may already know this, the Ukrainians targeted Russian fuel trucks, fuel containers,
Oh, okay.
and they were because they blew up their rail system. They blew up their connections between Russia, Belarus, and their country, and so the Russians had to bring all the fuel with them,
Mm.
and Ukrainians just realized that, well, it's easy to blow up. Intelligently enough, it's easier to blow up a big container with combustible fuel than it is to blow up
Mm.
a tank that requires that fuel. So
It practically blows itself up.
it practically blows itself up. So that was one of their tactics, is blowing up Russian fuel containers, fuel trucks.
Which is hilarious because if you know where to find them, and then by blowing up one tanker truck, you make all these other vehicles useless.
Well, especially if they're on one little road, if they're like
Mm.
in a in going single file down a road, you blow up one, especially if it's at the head of the truck. If it's at the head of the line, then all of a sudden you have a huge traffic jam. going on. So that's one of the reasons why the Russians haven't been doing too well in Ukraine so far. So I found that interesting. Though the chances of Putin gracefully bowing out isn't very high.
Yeah, it's I feel very sad. A lot of people are in the chat have been very optimistic about Ukraine knocking the Russians back and that sort of thing. And I wouldn't deny they've done a good job so far. But just sort of the Russians have what's their population, like 130 million?
The Russians have, because I've been watching, doing some research on this too. So yeah, they have a population of about 147 million people. It's an aging population, much older than here in the States, and so their reservoir of people who can't fight isn't as big as you would think for a country of 147 million people, because they do have a lot of elderly in the country.
Right, and I don't know how Ukraine is, in terms of how big an army it can fight. I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, they have a population. I think I heard the number 40 million in terms of a total population. I think it's a younger population overall, but there's no doubt that the Russians are, if the Russians decide to double down, which is more than likely, what they would just have to do is just take more time getting, to grind down the Ukrainians.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, the Russians have an insane amount of artillery pieces. What you do hear a lot is artillery, right from the news about places being shelled. And it takes time, especially since they're self-propelled. It's either one way or the other. You got to get the artillery there, and if you don't have fuel, then that's a problem. But at some point, those issues are going to get resolved, and Putin's also doing a calculation, and you can make a good argument, I think, that the Russians, though it's horrible what's going on in Ukraine, they have not been doing Syria level kind of, or what they did in Georgia and Chechnya. It's not that level of atrocities or violence going on right now. So they are making decisions and choices. Putin's making decisions about whether or not he turns up, or how high he turns up the violence, and what his ultimate goals are. Yeah.
I was thinking the only hope really is that Putin decides it's not worth it, and he declares victory and goes home.
Yeah.
But I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
But
Dave, Simply Secular Dave from the West Coast, says one little bomb blowing up is fairly insignificant unless it happens to be the middle of a whole bunch of other bombs, which is why fuel and ammunition are very strategic targets. That is too true, Dave. Too true. You can see that there are different goals, and I know we've talked about this before, is that there are different. I think his main goal would be, of course, to install a new government, a pro-Russian government, and to demilitarize Ukraine. It's something like what happened to Finland during the Cold War, right? Finlandization. Finland would be a neutral country with hardly any military, and that was the deal with Finland during the Cold War. And you can make a good argument where it is now. So that's what Putin would probably be wanting in Ukraine. That's his big goal. Would he be willing to accept a simple land route, a land corridor to
the Black Sea,
to Sevastopol? Maybe that would be the minimum. Hey, what's up, Sam? Love the horns.
Hey, Sammy.
You look pretty happy for being 1 o'clock in the morning over there.
Yeah, 20 to 2 actually.
20 to 2. Wow.
Man.
Well, we are going to be changing the clocks here at some point soon, I believe, and I don't know if that makes us earlier. That's a little bit earlier for you.
Yeah. 1 hour.
Yeah. So how's the apocalypse going in Australia? There's so much stuff about here in Ukraine.
Yeah, don't ask.
Oh, really?
So the whole east coast of the country is flooded. Just
Dude, I have to tell you, there's been no news about that. No news in the States about that.
420, isn't your country supposed to be on fire all the time? Why do you have floods? Oh,
to
water.
put the fires out.
Yes, okay. Just balance. Sort of
So
yin.
yeah, we usually will have fires in the dry season and then floods in the wet season.
Perfect.
But yeah, here we are in March and it's flooding. Like this has never happened before.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But we're getting pretty used to these natural disasters here in Australia. So I think this time, and this is the worst flooding we've had, some regions in history.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there you go, you aren't even hearing about it.
Yeah.
But I think it's the least deaths we've ever had. So something's working. Dickheads are still driving into floodwater. In their 4-wheel drives and whatnot.
That's
and getting stranded.
That's not good for your system, your electrical systems there in the car.
Yeah, well, no, that's the best case scenario. What people don't realize is that you don't need a massive depth of water to be washed away. You just need high speed and enough water so to the bottom of your doors, basically, that it can lift the car to take that traction away from the wheels.
Yeah.
And you're gone.
It turns out water is actually pretty heavy.
It is.
Well, the fluvial pressure is going to send you, even if it's 6 inches, you don't even need to have the truck or vehicle submerged if the fluvial flow is greater than.
I don't know that word, fluvian.
Yes.
What does it mean?
It's speed and pressure of water.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, of fluids.
So it's that would be funny, to have whenever someone is in their monster truck and being, drifting away in water, John Hudson's voice come in. It's like, well, that's the fluvial flow problem that you got there.
I've been caught in some washes before. When I was living down in Phoenix, I was in my FJ Land Cruiser, and there was clouds up miles away. I mean, 50, 100 miles. And all of a sudden in that wash, it turned into a river. Especially in the desert. It's like that. It can be raining, 50 to 100 miles away. And all of a sudden you're in a wash and it becomes an instant river.
Well, this is an interesting point. And I know, and I think we've talked about this before on the show, is that an effect of global warming is that there isn't as much rain, but it does come down in these large sheets, right? In these big storms. If you have parched earth, then the water isn't going to go into the earth. What it's going to do is just start rolling. And this creates a much higher chance of having these kind of flash floods that can wash it away.
And if there's one thing, well, people maybe don't know about Australia, but should, is that it's the oldest land, exposed land mass on Earth. And it is basically just that, hard, dry rock.
Yeah.
I've been watching that Australian time traveler, which tells about the geological history of Australia. It's a 5-part series on YouTube. It was done in 2012, but it's still relevant and very interesting today.
Well, I imagine if it's geological history.
Yeah, it doesn't change much.
Yeah. There might be some new breakthroughs in rocks
Well, with-
Australia. I'm going to sound really stupid. There might be some really big out, like scientific breakthroughs in rocks in Australia. See, that just sounds stupid
Yeah.
and American. That's what it
well,
does.
So what's new in rocks?
they found some new fossils that are in Australia that are just way cool. Brainbug shared some of them the other day, and
Oh yeah.
it was way cool. I'd never seen them. I love fossils. I got some right here that I just found.
Mm.
1 second.
Australia has opaline fossils, which are crazy beautiful. So it's a fossilized bone, but it's opal. And over to you, 420.
I did not know that.
Yes, look them up sometime. They're beautiful.
I have an opal that's worth about $8,000.
Do you
Oh, yeah?
really?
My dad gave me. Yeah,
And where
What makes it worth $8,000?
I had it valued.
Okay.
Did you see why?
No, I said,
Well, I mean,
where do you keep it?
Here, while we're playing show and tell, that's one of the fossils I found out off back of the property. It's a shell,
Oh, nice.
and a little bit bigger one. These are the ones we just found the other day.
Mm.
These are all rock. And when he's talking about opals, shells can become also opalized. I've got a.
I'm
didn't
looking
know
at
that.
pictures right now on my iPad, and yeah, there's some really beautiful opalized fossils.
And that's my opal. I made this ring.
Oh,
It's
cool.
supposed to simulate tree branches is what I was going for. But I found this opal up in Idaho.
No.
They're known for their opals too up there. Not so much as Australia. The best ones in the world come out of Australia, hands down.
Mm. Well, it's a funny story. My dad went fossicking with someone, and they rented an old mine. It had obviously been cleaned out, but you could still rent them and go and have a dig and see if you had any luck. And the whole time he was there, he had nothing. And on the day he was leaving, walking back to the car with all the tools and that in his hands, and he looked on the ground at a stone that he kicked, and as it rolled, it shimmered. And he picked it up, and it was a big chunk of opal.
Nice.
And he couldn't believe it because he found nothing the whole time actually where they should be, but found one on the way back to the car.
And that's the $8,000 opal?
Yeah. And he reckons it would have been worth a lot more, but the guy he got to cut too much off it.
Yeah.
And it wound up quite small. Well, still $8,000 worth. But I think the value, because it's black and it has every color.
Mm.
So I think they're valuable.
It's rated on its fire, how much color is coming out of it, and such. And certain colors are worth more. And the darker the base is, versus the white, if it's the black, yes, it's going to be worth more. Another piece of useless. Well, I used to go out to tailing dumps by mine sites and find all kinds of semi-precious stones because they weren't mining for semi-precious stones. They were mining for gold or silver.
I feel like that could be a reality TV show on like the Discovery Network. John Hudson goes out finding stuff.
It's in the overburden. They were not mining for semi-precious stones, which they had very little value at the time. But you'll find garnet, amethyst, and all kinds of stuff in them. So
nice.
Mm. Off topic, but something I found interesting. A headline appeared in my news feed about Apple iPhone SE bringing low-cost telephone to market, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, well, this sounds like a lot of crap.
It does sound like a lot of crap.
And I checked it out, and it's expected to be, this low-cost iPhone is expected to be $399 US. And the thing is that the most I've ever paid for a phone is $250 Canadian. And my phone was fine,
Um, if I'll tell you, one of the my girlfriend's at work right now. This is her first day back at work for quite a while. I would. She has pulled me into the cult of Apple, to tell you the truth. But like my phone, this is my new used phone. This is her old phone, so I got my hand-me-down, which is still better than my shitty Android phone that I had years ago. So yeah, she has put me into the cult of Apple.
That looks like mine.
Yeah, this is a 10.
It's 10.
Yeah,
I don't know what the hell this is.
But I would I would not be able to afford Apple an iPhone if I had to pay for it myself.
My daughter insisted that I have it. I don't know why, but yeah, I guess I needed an Apple.
Yeah, well, it is. People do have a lot of brand loyalty. I guess that's a way of saying kind of culty behavior about Apple. Apple products.
Maybe if your phone looks old, you could get it a shiny new case.
Perhaps.
And a lot of the time, for specific people anyway, it does come down to the operating system. The operating systems are so different. To go from Android to Apple it's hard because some things are opposite. So like the close tabs, the opposite side. So you often close things by mistake while you're trying to transition. And if you're like me, I have Android phones and my laptop is Windows, but all my computers for work, I've bought Macs just because of usability.
Sure.
Is that what they call miscegenation? I can't remember the word, Dr. Canard. Mixing of the races.
Come on. You have to bring miscegenation into this. No.
I can't even pronounce it. You're the one who pronounced it correctly.
What's that, Sam?
What is it? And define it.
He's making a joke about miscegenation. Miscegenation was the illegal practice of interracial marriage that was here in the States for centuries. It ended, I think, in 67, maybe in 68. There
were laws?
There were laws. Yeah.
Wow.
There were laws. You could not get married in Virginia if you were a black person marrying a white person. So it was Loving, and this is the real name of the last name of the couple that brought the court case. Loving versus the state of Virginia. And it is a landmark case. So this is within many of our life. I mean, I think I was either born or just about to be born when the court case came down. But yeah, for a long time, it was a state-by-state issue. So this couple decided to go to they were in Virginia, decided to get married. And then, it was illegal for them to get married in Virginia in 1966, 1967, whatever. And so,
in a lot of places, probably illegal just to have sex, let alone marriage.
Did they have to bring it to the courts in order to get married, or was it just something they,
I am not sure of the.
Did somebody deny them? Is what I'm getting. Initially.
They might have gotten married out of state and then came back into Virginia, and then their union was considered to be illegal. I'm not sure of the specifics off the top of my head. But, Loving, once again, just the way it sounds, Loving versus the state of Virginia. That is what ended miscegenation here in the States.
And what did I say that made you think of that, Big Z?
Well, you were talking about how some of your computers are Macs and others of them are Androids. You see.
Oh.
Miscegenation.
Sorry, I maybe I was being a bit elliptical, but there you have it.
So the decision was done in 1967.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
And some of us learned a new word.
Yes.
I haven't. I still can't pronounce it. Miscegenation.
So the couple actually went to Washington, D.C. to get married, thereby evading Virginia's Racial Integrity Act of 1924, which made marriage between whites and non-whites a crime.
Don't you love that old language?
Punishable by what?
I'm sorry, what?
Racial.
Oh, punishable. Well, that's a good question.
Integrity.
Let me continue reading. This is from Wikipedia. So, it's a few weeks later, they returned to Central Point, which is in Virginia. Local police raided their home
Jesus.
in the early morning hours of July 11th, 1958, hoping to find them having sex, given that interracial sex was also illegal in Virginia. When the officers found the Lovings sleeping in their bed, Mildred pointed out their marriage certificate on the bedroom wall. They were told the certificate was not valid in Virginia. The Lovings were charged under Section 20-58 of the Virginia Code, which prohibited interracial couples from being married out of state and then returning to Virginia, and Section 2059, which classified miscegenation as a felony. It was a felony.
I have to ask, was there an exception for BBC?
BDC?
BBC.
BBC?
You don't know BBC.
Oh, I understand what BBC is. I'm not gonna be distracted by you, Big Zebra.
Oh, okay. Sorry, keep going.
This is actually. But let me continue just a minute. Let's see. So they were okay. So the Lovings pled guilty. Okay, so it's a felony punishable by a prison sentence between 1 and 5 years. So that's what the punishable for being married in Virginia at that time. In 1959, the Lovings pled guilty to cohabitating as a man and wife against the peace and dignity of the Commonwealth. They were sentenced to 1 year in prison, with the sentence suspended on condition that the couple leave Virginia and not return together for at least 25 years. And then they, of course, appealed the decision. So they were basically told to get the F out of town, go back to Washington, D.C., go back.
You can red card me, but fuck. That's wow.
I'll give you a yellow card under the circumstances.
Oh, yeah, man, my head's going to explode.
So I think the city council should be investigated and monitored just to make sure they aren't engaging in interracial sex. Have monitors in place.
What's that?
Oh, and I was just going to say, and to keep the racial integrity of the city.
Yes. So the states that were affected by the overturning of Loving versus Virginia, as you would expect, were all the Bible Belt states. They were all states of the old Confederacy, plus other, up and coming wannabe states of the old Confederacy, like Missouri and West Virginia. But those were the states that still had anti-miscegenation laws up until 1967.
My God.
Yeah. There you go. A little bit of United States history right there.
Yeah. And it all started via a stupid joke about PCs and Androids and Macs.
I saw what you were doing there.
Yeah. It's just,
Are all zebras that sarcastic?
I didn't think that was sarcasm. I think it's just being silly. But I have been accused of being sarcastic. It's true. I actually had a boss one time called me. Do you mind a little story? Do we have time, Dr. Canard?
As long as it's not too long a story, go right ahead, Mr. Zebra.
Okay. Well, I was in publishing sales, and the representatives of a line of books couldn't make it. And they're the same guys who do the new cookbook. So they had another new cookbook that was meant for people who are just getting out on their own, your kids going to school, something like that. And they kept saying on the screen, of course, it was done on videotape for us because the people couldn't make it, and they were really overselling it. And they kept talking about food identification illustrations. And, so this is what an avocado looks like, so you'll know what it's like in the fridge. It was really dumb.
Yes.
And then they kept saying food identification illustrations. And then on the screen, they showed some green grapes. And the place we were in was so crowded, I was actually lying underneath a coffee table, sort of next to it, so people couldn't see me. And I raised my hand and pointed to the screen, and I said the word grapes. So later on, this got a lot of laughs and made some people angry. And that was when my boss called me a sarcastic arsehole.
Wow. Tough
Yes.
language.
Well, he was from New Zealand, and that's how they
Wow.
talk, apparently, or at least he did. So it wasn't as offensive as you might think.
Right. Very nice. Well, that's a good way to wrap things up.
Oh, great.
Here's where I gotta do stuff, unfortunately.
Hey, John,
Yes.
New Zealand is Australia's Texas.
Is it?
I've always wanted to go to New Zealand. They've got skiing.
It's beautiful.
I would love.
I want to go there and get drunk at the Hobbit Village and then take a leak over everything.
See, it's beautiful for what you international type folks are used to with the snow and cold and stuff like that. Whereas if you want to see tropical type beauty, come here.
So, Tobin, I see this. I'm gonna guess that's your newest video that you dropped.
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
Yeah,
Which
I
I
just put out
just-
some new.
Yeah, go ahead, man. I'll be quiet.
Yeah, I just released a new song. Me and Kendra just got finished with it last night.
Mm.
Cool.
Good for you. I'm listening to it right after this show.
I
Heck
saw
yeah.
the video last
Solid.
night. Yeah, I like it.
Thank
I think
you.
I like this more. I think this is my favorite so far. That's it. I think it's my favorite so far.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I am gonna ask here. After I finish the next two, I want to try to get a poll together and figure out which four the people who've been listening to me they would like to hear Kendra and I perform like live, like do a live performance of them,
Oh, that's cool.
Mm.
I think that'd
The
be very cool.
EP.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. Well, yeah. If anyone wants to check out that link, it's on Tobin's channel. It's on Tobin's channel too.
Yeah.
You can check that out. But hey, thanks everyone. We're doing the same crazy thing tomorrow. No show on Thursday because I got that thing I got to do. But here tomorrow. Take care. Shamla Hama.
Shamala.
Alhamdulillah.
Bye.